The Great Unclean One and Rotigus. Today we are going to assemble and magnetize this model so that you can play whichever one you want. For building, glue, razor blade, flat back pliers, kicker, preferably a dull razor blade, works better for edging. Let's take a look at the book. So first of all, we need to identify all the things that are different. The nurglings are different, so they don't share the same nurglings. The left and right hand are different. And then for the Great Unclean One, it has two different options for both the left and right hand, as well as the Rotigus, which has a different left and right hand. The head is different. Great Unclean One has two options for the head, and then the stomach is different, but it looks like there's only two options total, one for the Great, one for the Rotigus. Go into the instructions for building. What we see is when we get to step 1H, that's when it goes to the different variants. So everything between 1A and 1H is the same for both the Great Unclean One with all of its variants, as well as for Rotigus, which starts 3A. So you can see the only thing, and this is a really good example, I'm just gonna zoom in here. The only thing that we need to worry about is magnetizing the hands, the head. To start with, we're gonna go from 1A to 1H, and then we're gonna start working on our magnetizing. So we're just gonna be following the numbers and clipping them out one at a time. Now that we've finished building the base, you are going to make your Rotigus or Great Unclean One from here, and we are going to be looking at the different steps for magnetizing. The Great Unclean One has two different head options, and according to my research, none of the pieces are used twice, and none of the pieces are also used for Rotigus, which is really good. It means that you can build your three different heads, and then you can simply magnetize right here. So that's going to be a magnet on step 2A, right on the head, part 1. You're going to place a magnet there, and you're going to place a magnet on the back of each of your three heads. Similar for the main hand does not share any parts between them, so you can make your sword, your bell, and your staff for Rotigus without having to cast anything or green stuff anything. So you're going to magnetize here, and you're going to magnetize here, and you're going to magnetize here. So again, step 2A, 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets, three of the different options. We're going to have to magnetize the arm on step 2B. We're going to have to magnetize the inside of the arm, which would be piece number 24. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3 magnets just for the Great Unclean One. Next, the nurglings. I'm not going to worry about them. Technically, they are different between the Great Unclean One and Rotigus, but I'm not going to worry about that. Rotigus is fairly straightforward. The head is completely unique. It doesn't share any parts. So you can just go ahead and magnetize the back of that head, and you'll be able to switch between your three different heads. And then the staff is also its own separate piece. So you're going to be able to use your magnet on the arm, magnet on the head, magnet on the off, and you'll be able to replace all the different pieces, no problem. It's a little complicated, but we should be able to fully magnetize all the different options for both the Great Unclean One and for Rotigus. Let's get started. To magnetize the model, we're going to need the following items: a Dremel with a small drill bit, super glue kicker or accelerator, a Sharpie, size really doesn't matter, a razor blade, a pair of flat back pliers, 2mm magnets, 5mm magnets, and a piece of balsa wood, preferably 1/4 inch thick, And one item that I forgot is that we will also need baking soda. When magnetizing a model, keeping track of the positive and negative side of your magnets and making sure that all the pieces have the magnets facing the right way is the most difficult part. I have found that it's nice to have a piece of metal that you can take your stack of magnet and stick it to so you always have the same side facing up. You can also use a marker to help you identify which side you're putting up and down. However, the best strategy is to place your magnet, and before you set it, before you glue it in place, double check the facing of your magnet at least 2 times. However, I like keeping this piece of metal handy on the side as well as a Sharpie. Both of those things can help you stay organized. We're going to start by magnetizing the head, and all of the heads use different pieces, so we can go ahead and build all 3 heads, and then we'll be able to magnetize it with one touch point. We have all 3 of our heads, and all of them use unique pieces, which is fantastic. The model also has nice little keys where the heads are going to go, so we can just match those keys to where we're going to put our magnets. For the head, I'm going to put a 5mm magnet flush here where this key is, and I'm going to put a 2mm magnet where this bump is, and I will align that to the magnets in the head so that we use those same points for alignment. First thing I'm going to do, using a marker, mark a spot right there and right there, and that's where I'm going to use my Dremel to drill out holes for my magnets, starting with the 5mm magnet. Our magnet hole is so perfect that it's actually press fitting in. I know this is a little hard to see, but the top of the key is actually still there. It's right here. So we'll know how to align the head. So it'll still snap the head on, and then we don't want to mess with this bottom key here. So we want to put a smaller magnet right on the opposite side, but we were able to drill the hole so that we still have the top of this key, which you don't have to do, but if you can, it's a really good idea. For the magnet in the head, we're going to put a 5mm magnet underneath our key, but we have to take out just a little bit here. Now we're going to glue our magnet right here, and that should be in the perfect place. We always start by testing a magnet. So we know that this side needs to go into the model, and so we're going to mark it to help us remember that. Place a drop of glue in the bottom, and we're going to place a drop of kicker on the magnet. As you can see, this magnet is not attached to a whole lot, so we're going to use a modeling trick, which is we're going to use baking soda, which is actually an accelerant for our glue, and it will help us build some structure to keep that magnet exactly where we want it. A drop of glue where you want it, like that, and then you throw some baking soda over it, let it dry for a second, shake it off, and it builds this nice structure that's going to really help keep this magnet in place. Now we're going to test our magnet. And sure enough, it holds nice, but we are definitely going to need a second magnet to keep it down. So this first magnet is working well. It's really strong, but it does need a second magnet just to keep it flush down here at the bottom. It's looking pretty good. Unfortunately, this one doesn't press fit, so we're going to have to glue this one in. But we also want to make sure that the alignment is the same as this magnet. So we'll just stick it. There we go. It connects. So we're just going to want to put it straight down like this. Keep holding it. Drop a gloopy. Slide that bad boy off and let it sit. While that's drying, we're going to move over here and we're going to drill a hole right where we marked it for another 2mm magnet. And see, now it's ready. And we can just press fit it down into the model. There you go. That fits nicely. It's pretty secure. It fits straight. It's not coming off. Let's go ahead and follow those steps for each one of your heads. We are going to start with the main hand for both Rotigus and the Great Unclean One. And assuming that me reading the instructions was correct, I should be able to cut out all those pieces, build all three of those different options, the bell, the great sword, and the staff, and we should be able to magnetize it at the wrist and have no problems. As we can see, each one of the main hands can fit onto the wrist. There are no shared parts. They all go in the same orientation, roughly, which means we can magnetize this using 4 magnets. I'm going to magnetize this is I'm going to use my 5mm magnets, and I'm going to glue it to the inside right here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my top of my magnet. So this black magnet should always be facing up, and I'm going to glue using the whole stack of magnets so it's roughly flush right here in the inside corner. The way I'm going to glue this is I'm going to put one of my 5mm magnets on the back of my razor blade, and I'm going to use that to hold it right in this spot here in the back corner so that it stays flush with the surface. And I'm just going to glue it to the inside edge. So I'm going to put some glue in, and then I'm going to hold this magnet here until it dries. Once the magnet is initially in place, we're going to add a bit more glue on each side, and we're going to kick it. Using a bit of paper towel, I like to wipe off any unset glue that may have been there. Now we have our base magnet in, and we're going to test which side magnetizes to it. So this is right now upside down. This is the side that we want face down. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to stick it, holding it the same direction, to our metal so that we know that the bottom of this is always the side that we're going to glue. The top is going to face into the hand, like that. Based on placing our magnet in the back corner, I'm going to align our hand, and we're going to need to place the connecting magnet flush right here. And when we pick our magnet up off the knife, we want to flip it over so that the marker side is facing in, and we're just going to glue it down right here, like so. I've now flipped the magnet. I've put the marker side face down. I've picked a magnet up off the bottom. I'm going to attach it to my razor blade in the right direction. I'm going to use my razor blade to hold it in the appropriate corner while it sets. Again, we're going to add a touch of glue and add some kicker, and then we're going to clean up any glue from the edge so when we test fit it, it doesn't get stuck together once we let it dry. For the arm, we're going to add baking soda as well, help build some structure. If you get some on the magnet, that's okay. We can scrape that off in a little bit. Good news, we are not sharing any parts, so we'll be able to do 4 magnets total, 1 on his arm and 1 on each of the other arms. That's awesome. For the left arm, we are going to drill a 5mm hole in approximately the center. And if we drill the hole just right, it will be press fit, and we should not have to glue it. The hole looks to be just about right. We are going to use the back side of our flat back pliers in order to press it flush with the plastic. I'm going to be using a piece of balsa wood to fill in the gap inside of the hollow model. We're going to cut the balsa wood with our flat back pliers. Then, using our razor blade, we are going to align the piece of balsa wood right where we want it, and we're going to glue it in place. Once our initial glue has set, we are going to add a little bit more glue and kicker just to make sure it's a strong connection. Going to glue the magnet to the center of the balsa wood. This will be in line with the magnet that we placed on the left arm. Once the magnet is placed, we will let it sit. The left arm for Rotigus is a little bit more tricky. It has a piece of plastic running across the inside. However, if you placed your magnet into the center of the arm, you will also be able to place 2 magnets right on the piece of plastic in the middle, and that will hold this arm in place very nicely. But remember, if you're using 5mm magnets, you do need to use 2, and if you're using smaller than 5mm, you might need to use 3. Once your glue has dried, always remember to test fit the piece before you mark it as complete. In this case, it seems to be working out very well. And at this point, we have completed all of the pieces for the Great Unclean One and Rotigus. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found this tutorial useful and enlightening. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. There is a lot of different ways to magnetize your miniatures. These are a few of the techniques that I find useful and that I use on a regular basis. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to take your patronage to the next level, check us out on Patreon. You will get access to all of our battle reports 1 week early, ad-free, starting at any level. You'll also get entry into our monthly giveaway at any level. And if you'd like to get yourself some dice or cups, or even be on our podcast, check out our higher levels between $3, $10, and $50. Until next time, this has been Aron from the Cool Guys Nation, and I'll see you on the table.